Moderation helps everyone stay safe. Okay, close that. Yeah, live. How you doing? Bada boom. Realest guy in the room. Remember how many cameras you're working to. Say hello to the people on TikTok. Say hello to the people on YouTube. Say hello to the people on IG. How you doing? Everybody who came here today, thank you for viewing us. We're in a ring. We're talking about the biz, talk about wrestling. Y'all already know what it is. Got nothing but love for everybody who loves wrestling. When I first broke into the business, you know that people ask me, basically, for advice now, when I think about it, it's like I ask people for advice in pro wrestling, right? And I would typically try to ask the biggest stars that I could meet. I would walk up to them for the first time. If I'm meeting The Undertaker for the first time, if I'm meeting The Big Show for the first time, I'm walking up to them and I'm like, hey, if you had any advice for a young wrestler in the pro wrestling business, what would it be? And it's funny how they would answer that question. I could give you different examples, but I'll say The Undertaker and The Big Show. That's who I mentioned. I remember it. So I asked The Big Show, if you have advice for a young wrestler who just hit the road, what would you say? And Big Show goes, you're going to be traveling a lot. You're going to be eating on the road. Wherever you go, always ask for the special. Because they're always going to, the chef in the back want to cook that special. They have, that's their special, whoever's cooking in the back. And you're eating at fine restaurants, 5-star restaurants by the time you get there and you're on the road and shit. So that's the Big Show's advice. He gives you eating advice, right? So then The Undertaker gave advice to me, and I asked him, he said, he looked, ice, stretch. Yeah. Ice, stretch. That's The Undertaker's advice. So me and Liamo, we stretched already.
We do every day, down State of Fitness. Yeah. You get down, get a stretch, get a workout in.
Yup, so we're here at State of Fitness, North Bergen. This is my home. I have a music studio in the alley here for people who make music in the North Jersey area. Hit us up, man. But yeah, we're here at State of Fitness Boxing Club. A lot of guys, there's a few men in here working hard, throwing hands, getting it, but we're gonna get it in the pro wrestling ring. Couple things that I want to bring to the table, right? Anytime that you're in the ring with somebody, and you're telling that story, because that's what this is storytelling, I think that it's important to lock up. And that sounds crazy, right? Because you see so many pro wrestling matches start, right? This is the way I want to start it. So many guys go, boom, cut them off, kick them, punch them, hit them. It's like we don't, why reinvent the wheel? Slow that shit down and give me a good ass lockup. And first time you lock up, you're like, come here. All stiff as bitch, right? You need to make that thing look good. And that thing needs to look stiff, needs to look nice, needs to be in there. And that's the most important part of storytelling for pro wrestling. If you ask me, start with a fucking lockup. I like a lockup, all right? Point blank period, I typically start with a lockup. And if you watch Bret Hart, he starts with a lockup a lot of the time. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, and you don't need to reinvent the wheel when you're this fly. Part of, stepping in this shit, man, when I first got into the pro wrestling business, I don't care what anybody says. I do not give a fuck. And that's what you're going to find here. You know what my superpower is? I put on a cape and I don't give a fuck. Got a big gap on my chest. Give a fuck. Dog.
I got a question. So, when you first got to the performance center and you're locking up with all these guys, when did the light bulb drop and the moment hit you that, right, this is how I do it, compared to when you were going in and being a bit stiff? Was there
Bro, every single person I lock up with on the indies, now it's funny, I can't even remember, bro. How was I? Probably just the way I showed you. Probably stiff as hell, probably punch guys in the face. I definitely hit a few guys in the face on the lockup. That happens, man. It's a part of the growing pains. But honestly, I'm so far past the lockup you know, into the storytelling. I just wanted to emphasize the fact that I fucking love lockups, dude. I love lockups, bro. I think it's so important when you have a good one.
Yeah.
I just saw a match recently, and I'm not gonna bury anybody. We watched a match recently, not gonna bury anybody. But the lockup, I pointed it out to you. Absolute dog shit. You take me right out of it.
It sets the tone for the match.
Sets the tone for the match.
A nice pop, boom, gets it.
The Irish, we got the Irish immigrant over here trying to get, you know, any of you ladies out there looking for somebody, you know, come, look at that. Washboard abs. You got some laundry, he come do your laundry for you, baby.
They call me Whack Efron out there.
Yeah, Whack Efron. Gorilla Nems, seen him on the streets of New York City, and Gorilla Nems was like, dude, Whack Efron, don't you ever disrespect me. He hit him with it. Shout out Nems, bro, Cody Island. But funny shit. Shout out Christian, Bill's Supper Club. If you're ever in the city on the west side, you need to hit up Bill's Supper Club. They take care of the boys. If you're a pro wrestler after a show in the garden, you go ahead Bill's Supper Club. How you doing?
Somebody said Rock and Hogan set the tone with that lockup at WrestleMania 18.
The greatest pro wrestling match of all time. Let me just say this. Everybody knows the greatest match of all time, ever, was WrestleMania, The Rock and Hogan. But what I'm adding to that is that it's the only 5-star match that ever took place. Somebody must have spiked Dudley your seltzer, Dave Meltzer. I don't know what the fuck. Bro, there's one 5-star match all time, okay? And The Rock, listen, all roads to Mount Rushmore go through New York. So, you know, there's nobody who's in Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, who didn't wrestle in New York. You know what I mean by that? I don't even mention the guys across the street. But, you know, The Rock, he chiseled himself into Mount Rushmore with a microphone. You feel me? You feel me? So, I just think that to have a 5-star match, you should put it up there and say there's only been one ever. And that's The Rock and Hogan at Mania. And the story goes with that. It's funny, when I was in NXT, one of the head coaches there, Terry Taylor, he would make us all watch that match. And almost like, I fucking love Terry. I love Terry. But it was almost like he was in Alzheimer's. He would make us watch it again and he would react the same damn way. But to be true, it's like we've already heard this story already, old man. But that's probably because me and Cass were stuck in NXT for fucking ever. And there was plenty of people that came through that class that never sat down with Terry and watched it. And Terry had a beautiful explanation for why it was so incredible. And what the story goes that, you know, they expected The Rock to be the baby face. And when they got to the ring, he was the heel. And then what did they do? They changed the whole thing. At the start of the match, I'm the heel, you're the face, and they went on to have the greatest match of all time. And that's all because we're basing that on fan reactions.
But you know what I like about that match is everything they do is simple. And it's just simple, but you don't need to go spot. They told the story, the fans are invested, and that's what makes the match good.
So a lot of people have no idea, but you know, when you get into a pro wrestling ring, a lot of things go into it, and I think that WWE pulled the curtain back on that shit quite a bit when they did Unreal. And you know, as far as like opinions about it goes, you know, I came into the business where, as I mentioned, the Undertaker was the quote-unquote leader of the locker room. So there was a separation of church and state, and I can't explain it. But now that we've seen what we've seen, it's like, I'm ripping that fourth wall down, give a fuck, dude. You guys want to see me in a ring? Here it is. You know, you put me on TV in 8 years, so what the fuck do I give a fuck for, bro? Watch how this happens. You know, I'll show you exactly where we put the rabbit in the hat, you know, if we're doing magic. And I think that the fact that we're in a business where it's so tough to blur the lines now, and then they pulled the curtain back and they showed that part of it and how it all works. I just think you're at a point in the business where you're going to see things that you've never seen before, and people open up about what it is that we actually do, and you get to see how beautiful the art actually is and how we respond to people. The people are the only thing that matter in this business. If it wasn't for you guys, we don't have jobs. If it wasn't for you guys, we're not in arenas and you're not there. What are we doing? You know how many fans I owe a life debt to that came and followed me across my journey on the indies? Here I am, coming to Fourth Rope shows. People, I see the same people, the same faces in the crowd that pay to get the picture with me every time. It's unbelievable. So that's amore. That's nothing but love, and I have nothing but love and appreciation for all of you. You like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. He's a young kid chasing his dream, right? So I met him in Ireland, and you were wrestling at a promotion called OTT.
Shout out OTT, Joe Cabray, that's my home. I'm over here now, but they gave me my start, and that's where I met this man.
Yeah, so then I hit up my buddy Ferg, you know, so Finn Balor is in Ireland wrestling on your show,
Yeah.
OTT.
10th anniversary, came back, main event of the show. Again, shout out Sean Guinness and Matthew Bullet Smith, major match. The two boys came back, JD and Fergal, main event of the show, in 1,000 people in Dublin. And to this day, Finn Balor puts that over as one of the greatest moments in his whole career. So I got to meet him, and you gave him the
I put him over,
Yeah,
dude.
the
I gave
you know?
Ferg the Iggy. I said,
Yeah.
man, you're gonna meet a young kid there I believe in. He's willing to chase his dreams, come to America, couch it over here. I got a studio with a bed and a shower, and this guy comes and he hustles. He wants to make it. I try to get him bookings. We'll be wrestling July 31st.
Yeah.
I just got a match
Baltimore.
to wrestle this guy. But yeah, man, I'm just anybody who loves this shit enough to leave home, chase their dream. Like, I had it easier than anyone I ever met in the business, and that's probably one of the reasons why I worked from a real deficit, and you know, it was hard to get and earn respect. And part of the process is setting up the fucking ring, right? And it's funny because fast forward how many years later, we're at Fourth Rope, and what do we do at Six Flags Great Adventure Fourth Rope?
It's just me and him, first two in the door, setting up a ring from scratch.
Set up a pro wrestling ring from scratch. If you don't want this shit, you're never gonna get it. And at Fourth Rope, I'm not above it. I show up to the show, I'll set up the fucking ring. I know how to set up a pro wrestling ring because when I stepped into this business, I had never wrestled before in my life. Never wrestled before in my life. But I meet the likes of people like him. And anybody who earned an ounce of respect on the indies, I was in the locker room with all of them. And I had to pay my dues in a different manner. You know, you come in the door and you're already in the WWE. You start at the top. And to be fair, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because I came in with no quote unquote bad habits, as they would say. And I point out bad habits to you. You still see them on TV. You probably won't really see them in the WWE. Do we see people, you know, mess things up? I told you, it'll happen. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna miss some big shit, right? He's the biggest pay-per-view there is. I just saw a clip of LA Knight jumping up, hitting his elbow. He probably does that 99 out of 100 times. Y'all saw the 100th time. There's certain risks that you may or may not want to take in this business, and you hear Randy Orton speak most recently about being reluctant to take those risks later in his career. I learned a lot being in there with the best in the world and understanding that, you know, I had a coach, Billy Gunn, and a producer, Rodo, and they would be like, dude, shut the fuck up until you get a microphone. And I wasn't like, bro, Big Cass would put together most of our matches and shit. And I would just shut up and I'd get in the ring with an FTR, with Blake and Murphy, with all these guys that have been doing this shit for years, grinding, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Corey Graves, you know, all these names, Big E, Xavier Woods. You know, I owed them all a debt of gratitude. I picked up something from all of them learning along the way, you know what I'm saying? So when you're in the ring with all these great guys, it's either sink or fucking swim. I don't give a fuck who you are. You're never going to get in the ring with John Cena if you don't deserve to be in the ring with John Cena. And quickly thereafter, they'll weed you out. So opportunities are earned, not given. But when you're in the ring for the first time in the WWE, you never earn the respect of fucking nobody. So learn to set up the fucking ring. And then 8 years later down the road, you're gonna find yourself setting up the fucking ring again. The highs and lows of this business, but they're real. And this is the realest shit you ever heard in your life. If you wanna fucking make it, you gotta start somewhere. So when I first broke in, it was FCW, it wasn't NXT. You had Roman Reigns, you had Dean Ambrose. Roman was born into the business. Dean Ambrose was fucking made a name for himself in as John Moxley. Seth Rollins made a name for himself as fucking Tyler Black. These guys, I don't even know who the fuck they are. I never heard of them in my fucking life. And imagine if you're Finn Balor and you come down to NXT and Enzo and Cass are already over as fuck. Give a fuck what nobody says. White. And I'm greener than goose shit. And you got, you know, the best wrestlers in the world all around us. And Finn Balor walks in the building and he comes to NXT. And mind you, we're poaching the talent from Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, fucking all these great wrestlers, Kenta, you know, coming in from around the world at that time. You know, Austin Aries and bro, you know who even did a stint in NXT nobody remembers? Cowboy, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, TNA.
Oh,
James
yeah,
Storm.
I remember that, yeah.
Dude, James Storm came to NXT. He was, bro, he's a hilarious human. So that's what you got to be, a character in this business.
You probably have to up your
I
game.
remembered him. I fucking remembered him. You got to remember people.
You probably have to up your game though when the likes of Finn Balor, Samoa Joe drop in onto your roster.
Not at all.
Always
That's the thing. I didn't give a fuck. You couldn't tell me my shit didn't stink. I was, bro. I didn't understand. You would walk through the door, you're Finn fucking Balor, right? And that, well, actually, you're Prince Devitt. Everybody's giving you a fucking blowjob. I walk up to you in the middle of the fucking gym. You can ask Finn. I go, hey man, what's going on? What's your name? I knew it. I heard his name.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, never heard of you. Never heard of New Japan either. I only wrestled here in the WWE, and it's the only place I will ever wrestle. Welcome to the dance. Hope you get over. Bro, walk up, like, he knew I was joking. I wasn't serious. I never would have made it. Because I say that to you, and then you're the same guy who watches me lead the ring truck every day and set up 4 fucking ring. I touched every post when we set up the ring, and no one can tell me we didn't. And I was showing up every day to the before we have performance center. When you get to the performance center, they give you a schedule. Fuck that schedule. I liked FCW better. We were at FCW, bro. I would show up at 5:30 in the morning. Norman Smiley. No matter what Norman Smiley did the night before, you never heard it, he never sold it. He came in, and if he knew there was a wrestler sitting at the door, he was going to show up and open it and get in the ring with him. And Norman Smiley, and bless his heart, Scott Dawson at the time, Dax Harwood, and R.I.P. my man, Knuckles Madsen, Killer Kevin Knight, what do we call himself? I forget his name on the indies, bro. He was Knuckles Madsen to me and Killer Kevin Nickel on the indies. That's his shoot name. God bless his heart, bro. I love that man. He taught me how to set up a fucking ring. We'd get in a ring before practice, and we would just be moving people around. And, well, fuck no. I wouldn't be moving nobody. They'd be moving me to fuck around. And I learned so much in those times between 5:30 in the morning and 8 a.m. when class started. When class started, it turned into fucking the military, dog. Bill DeMott. Bill DeMott was the head coach of fucking FCW at the time. They just brought him in. He was fucking Terminator. This man was intense. He wood cracked, and you heard every step he took. And he'd get angry, he had a fake tooth, he'd flip it in and out of his fucking mouth. And right when you walked through the door at FCW, his office was there and his door was always open. And he'd be sitting there, fucking looking at you all angry, check you when you walked through the door. He'd smile at other people, he never fucking smiled at me. You know what? He was from Jersey, that's why I think he hated me. As we were saying, Bill DeMott's a military motherfucking sergeant, and they wanted to start hard, and so I don't blame them at all. Anything in life that you get should not be easy. Anybody who said that it was fucking difficult to make it in the WWE, yeah, no shit. It fucking should be, you pussy. Get your fucking ass kicked. Eat a shit sandwich, learn to like the taste of it, as I was told, right? Bro, you gotta earn your stripes. So learn to set up the ring, and then when you get stiffed in the ring. Eventually you'll learn the difference when you get in a ring with a real pro, a veteran, someone who takes care of you, and you have a good match with them. Then maybe you'll think back to those times where you were learning how to work and guys were just beating the shit out of you. It's a different business now. It's the NIL. It's bringing college athletes in. And once they created NXT, you got to remember, for real, now there was cameras on the wall. And Hunter or anyone in Stanford at any time can hit a button and look at what's going on in the performance center. So once that became a thing, you couldn't do nothing to nobody. Like, physically. Like, you know, if we went back and watched the tapes of FCW, you'd see some fuck shit happen to me in that ring that probably you never saw when we moved to Orlando. But I was none the wiser. I thought when you get into this business, that's what this is. You get your ass kicked. And you earn your stripes. And I just thought about it like, dude, I played college football. Now I'm doing this thing, it's like MMA. Now I know, if I'm in the ring with a wrestler for the first time, I'm like, bro, I'm your mom. You would never hurt your mom. You get me? It's like, this thing is a song and a dance, and there's a way of making it beautiful.
Well, yeah, man, you literally learned from the best coaches from the start. So now you have a chance to pass that down on to the likes of me and the young guys you get in the ring. So I think that's a great opportunity for you now, is you've come full circle. Now you're back here, and you've learned all this from the likes of Dusty Rhodes. What do you think is the most important thing to pass down to a wrestler like myself coming up on how to work from what you've learned?
Them, the people. You got to connect with these guys. It's so simple. People, like people, you'll see a guy grab a head, and give him a buckle. Bang. And then they'll do it again. And then whatever, roll, grab that hold, get up. How about this, right? Take a head buckle, bro. You like that? Like that? You want one more? You want one more? You want one more? All right, buddy. You get one more. Take another head buckle. You're welcome. I did that for you. I did that for you. Hey, more for the people. More for the people is simple. You can skip a beat real easy. And, a lot of guys will grab a hold and get right up and out of it and panic. And if we want movement, there's so much that I spoke about yesterday that I could relapse on. We did a video yesterday that we'll be posting on YouTube for you people to see, talking about the business and just the ins and outs of simple things in psychology and things that help me along the way. And I think that the number one component of being fire in pro wrestling is your opponent, for one. It takes two to tango, and you have to be able to work well with others. If you can't, and adhere to the principles by which we live with, which is pro wrestling. I've never been good with fucking principles, fuck high school, fuck detention, fuck suspension. I always knew what I wanted to do. I got into fist fights and I talked shit in class, and what do you know? I wanted to be a pro wrestler, kid. What do you want to be, Timmy? You want to be a fucking cop? Oh, good for you, Timmy. What do you want to be, Barack? You want to be a president? Good, you got dreams, kid. Well, what do you want to be? I want to be a wrestler. Well, fuck you. I know what I want to do. You make fucking 30 grand a year. Don't tell me how to do this shit. They got $1 million over there for the guys in New York wrestling. Now, we're going to get this shit up out the mud, all right? I pulled up at a Pontiac Grand Am, 1992, by my dad. Nobody, touch-it-tism ain't no nepotism here. I wasn't born into this shit. I was born to do it. Wasn't born in a manger neither. Born in December, cold as ice. And I'm telling the truth, and I'm not going to tell you twice. Look it, I'm the best at this. There's nobody fucking better. And I wrestled you. And what I mean by I'm the best at this, man, you got to understand, there's so many people out there talking that shit right now, saying how great they are at pro wrestling, right? I don't give a fuck. You have to understand, pro wrestling is subjective. Your favorite pro wrestler might not be my favorite pro wrestler. Your favorite style of wrestling might not be my favorite style of pro wrestling, right? So you can look at people and you gotta put them in, and you think about it. It's like people go, like, man, when they say my breath sometimes, they go, he was a great promo, or he was one of the best promos, or blah, blah. Bro, that's what shit, yeah. That's what I tried to do. And you mentioned me in that breath when people debate over, you know, my time period in pro wrestling or the history of the business. It's like, bro, you can, if someone says, oh, Enzo's the best promo, now, people can't be like, no, bro, I put myself there, motherfucker. That's a fact. Now, when I think about the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestlers, well, now we got a real fucking debate on our hands. But if you can get up in that fucking, if you go, Enzo's top 10 on the mic all time, people ain't batting a fucking eyelash. They're not. It's a fact. You know, some people, he might tell you I'm the best. I have to believe I'm the best in order to be the best, right? But you have to know.
People on TikTok. Talk to TikTok.
You have to fucking know that when I say I'm the best at doing Enzo. I'm the best at doing real work. If you're the best at what it is that you do, you're saying you're the best at it. It's all subjective. So if you think you're the best luchador on the planet and you hang your hat on that, that's fucking good and fine, right? I am the best. Impromptu. Put me in the ring with anybody at any time at WrestleMania right now. Ring the bell, ding, ding, ding. I can go an hour and not talk to the opponent before I do it. That's where I put myself now. That's where.
The first time, me and you got in the ring. First time ever doing that. He opened my eyes to it. Getting in there, calling it on the fly. This man does it the best. The only one doing it.
I just walk in the fucking ring and I lock up with you. That's when I start wrestling. That's when we can talk about it. I know what my finish is, bro. Hey, throw a right. He didn't even got to tell me. Oh, I can put my hat back on. Right? Bang! He threw a right. I said throw a right. I didn't tell him watch my finish. I just said throw a right. So the thing that we do here used to be done a certain way that has become extinct. And I love pro wrestling, and you can measure it, and you can see there's some of the greatest of all time. Kurt Angle, one of my fucking favorite wrestlers to watch, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, from my understanding, used to have premeditated matches where he, rehearsed what it is that he wanted to do. And he said, I'll go like this, and the people will go nuts here, and I'll get up, and then that's when I'll hit this. Okay. So, he could premeditate that as well as anybody I ever saw in my fucking life. Do you agree or not? Like, did you watch his matches back? Clearly the shit was good. So, hey man, there's a different way to do this thing, right? The Rock and Hogan went out there, however. In the moment, Hogan said, brother, I'm the face today. You're the heel, brother. Let's change the whole fucking thing right now at Mania. I'm prepared to do that at any moment. I walk in places now, I got a microphone, I say my name is, hey, I don't know Enzo Amore, that's for you to say. No, for real, now I say, everybody knows. I'm a certified G, the bona fide stud, you can't teach that. Bada boom, realest guy in the room, how you doing? By the time I say that shit, I will know whether or not people are following along with me word for word, if I'm getting cheered, if the ones know who I am, and hate me or love me, and by the time I say, how you doing, I'll know I'm a heel or a face right now. And then if I'm a baby face and I need to be a heel, which is a lot of the time, most recently, some of my best work, I go to Fourth Rope in Buffalo, New York, and I was calling them Buffalo Lives, Buffalo Lives, Buffalo Lives. So I go to Buffalo, and it's fresh off the heels of Travis Kelce's engagement with Taylor Swift, and I'm like, oh, you know, talking shit about the Buffalo Bills, whatever. But when I came out, I said, my name is Enzo Minoid, and I said, hey, everybody knows I'm a certified G. They said it with me, how you doing? Every word. I get to talking shit. I bury everybody in Buffalo. They chant, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. I said, Mo, everybody knows you're like a Snickers. And I'm gonna feed you a Snickers, and you're gonna eat it upside down so you feel the veiny part on your tongue. Anyway, they boo me. They chant, shut the fuck up. And then I say, you're S-A-W-F-T. I held the microphone in the air. I didn't say soft. They did. You can get someone to chant, shut the fuck up, and then get them to spell out soft, and you don't say soft with them. They say it for you. I don't know. Nobody's doing this shit. Nobody. I've never seen it really like this. I watch a lot of wrestling, dude. Don't I watch a lot of wrestling?
Seen it. I watched it.
I do not watch wrestling right now on television. Yeah, I watched my first WWE pay-per-view has been the Royal Rumble. I watched it with you. It was the first one I watched, man. I'll say that.
It's changed a lot.
Leave it at that. Man, I can't speak on a world that I'm not a part of for real, for real. There's so much that goes on behind the curtain, not even you will ever see on Unreal. And you know what else? You know what's a very interesting perspective? All right, none of us have ever seen, to my knowledge, that room. The room on Unreal where they're all sitting at a board table and there's a bunch of wrestlers' names on the board and they're kind of boxed off in different like sections of like, hey, this person's in this tier and this person's in this tier and here's the main event picture. And it's like they showed that? I didn't even know what that shit looked like. What the fuck? I know there's people that have been there for years, never been in that room. So it's very interesting time in pro wrestling.
Time's changing. Well, look, Fort Row changing the game at the minute.
And I'm changing pro wrestling on a different level. I'm telling you, I'm doing something that nobody else is doing, and if you're not paying attention, you really should be. When I get in the fucking ring, I just wrestle. How do I do all of those moves? And how do I do them in sequence? I fucking talk to them. Right? Watch, bro, it's simple. It's like, hey, watch, put up a boot, brother. Here. Watch the clothes on. This kid wants to bump.
Put on the show. We got people live.
You see people on indie shows. Now listen, I'm on the indies all the time. There's a reason why there's a reason why I don't want to talk to my opponent, and I prefer every time I get booked. I'm blessed to be in a situation when I get working with a promoter. I ask them to always put me with a green kid. I want to work with a young guy who will appreciate being in a ring with me and the opportunity to go in there on the fly and just work. You know what's funny? I have recently, I'm wrestling at ACW.
Shout out ACW.
ACW is awesome. You got a show there March 14th.
I'll be there March 14th.
He'll be there March 14th. Unfortunately, sorry guys, I will be in Chillicothe, Ohio. Unfortunately for the fans in Poughkeepsie, but fortunately for me, I do love the people in Chillicothe. It's always a good house. Shout out Bobby Fulton. One of the funniest promos I've ever heard in my life. Bobby Fulton left a voicemail on RVD's phone, and RVD put it out there for the world to hear. And he, at the end of it, he buries the guy, and he's like, he buries RVD. He's like, you no good son of a bitch, whatever he says. And then he goes, that's straight out the Bible. You feel me? Thank you. It was so funny. But anyway, I love RVD. Fuck what you heard. I don't have, if you are beefing with somebody, that ain't my beef, dog. Sorry about you. But anyways, so
what are you saying, shout ACW?
ACW show, I'm over there, right? So imagine my girl Lisa here. Shout out Lisa, my baby. Shout out my baby. So my baby and me, we're working the table, selling pictures, selling autographs, selling t-shirts and hoodies, and all the people that got real, you know, all the love I get. in Poughkeepsie, New York is crazy. I can't thank them enough. Here's how it goes. That's my house, that's my home, and I open every show. So if you ever come to Poughkeepsie, New York, you want to come to the storied Mid-Hudson Civic Center. Mid-Hudson Civic Center is where Miss Elizabeth got her debut with Macho Man, and where Andre the Giant got his hair cut by the Big John Studd, by 123 Kid rolled up Razor Ramon on Monday Night Raw. It's where the 205 Live Tour had its first and ever only cruiserweight tour, and I headlined that motherfucker. And then it's where I had my first ever indie wrestling match against Brian Pillman Jr. The place means a lot to me, and I still wrestle there about once every few months. So, best spot ever. You ever want to watch a wrestling show? Come to a storied wrestling building with great fans, that's it. That place is the bomb. I'll do it until I'm 75, just like Jerry the King Lawler. I wrestled Jerry the King Lawler there in a casket match. It was fucking incredible. So anyway.
I'll be there next week, so check it out.
I had a lot of great matches in that building, boy. You all need to catch up and catch me there. I'm telling you. So I'm about to walk in through the curtain. Man, remember, I'm in the opening match. Right? Well, meet and greet goes right up until the opening match, basically. And if you're in the opening match, you probably go to the back about a half hour early, 10 minutes early. I'm like, nah, I'm making my motherfucking money right here, dog. I'm not leaving this table selling t-shirts until I can go through the curtain. And then when I'm done, I'll probably come right back to the table. Gangster. I hustle and shout out everybody who buys my shirts. So anyway, I'm out this bitch with Lisa, selling t-shirts. I have not seen or talked to Zach Clayton. Now, Zach Clayton is with JWoww. So, JWoww from the Jersey Shore, her man is Zach Clayton, right? He's a great guy. Love Zach Clayton as a human. So, anyway, this day I'm wrestling him, and I haven't seen him or talked to him because I'm busy trying to sell t-shirts. But I got to be out through the curtain in 10 minutes, and I'm smoking a cigarette in the back. And then I get done, I flick my cigarette, I go inside, I get my gear on, I walk up to Zach Clayton, I'm like, hey Zach, what do you want to do tonight? What do you do actually? What do you do? And right in that moment, I realized Tommy Dreamer's sitting right there. And I'm like, yo, what is Tommy? He goes, Tommy Dreamer is the enforcer in your match. And I'm like, bro, what? Like, yo, I feel like a dickhead. Like, cause bro, like Tommy Dreamer's an OG, he's a veteran, and I owe him the respect for conversation. Not that I don't owe it to Zach. Zach knows I go to the ring and I just call it on the fly. But if you get me in the ring with a veteran, like a Tommy Dreamer, or as I mentioned, an RVD, I've wrestled, both guys. Not one-on-one, but I had a triple threat match with Too Cold Scorpio and RVD in Chillicothe. Packed house, like 4,500 people, fucking Bobby Fulton. How you doing? They hate each other now. Either way, back to the story. Where was I?
You're about to go out with Zach Clayton.
Zach Clayton. Tommy fucking wet dream. Tommy got a wet dream. Anyway, I'm not wrestling Tommy. I'll get ready to bury him one day. So I wrestle Zach Clayton, walk up, Tommy Dreamer's there waiting for me, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't mean to disrespect you, Tommy. Like, I didn't know you were involved in our match. So I would have totally had a conversation with you. We don't really have much time to talk about it. Zach, what do you do? I went out there and I called the match for like 15 minutes, 20. No, we had 20 minutes. I had no idea we had 20 fucking minutes in a title match. And I walk up, I get my gear on. Music, intros playing, I got a second because there's like somebody doing an intro, Dave LaGreca or some shit. So that's when I knew I got time to talk at the curtain. I got time to talk at the curtain. When the show starts, yeah, I'm in match 1, but there's a segment before us. Fucking good, don't worry about it. I walk up to Zach, he tells me a couple things that he does. I'm like, can you do a superplex? He's like, yeah. I'm like, cool. You think you can catch me off the top rope? Like, cool. All right. You think you can hit a Razor Ramon? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. You do a drop kick? He's like, hell no. I'm like, good, I don't either. Well, go out there. Call the whole match, but here's the thing. Tommy Dreamer was involved in the match and the finish. So he's out there on the outside. I just sell over to Tommy. And I just talk to Tommy and I talk to fucking Buddy. And I just called the match on the fly for 20 fucking minutes. And we get through the curtain. And when we're done, Crowbar, Tommy Dreamer, different people coming up to me like, bro, I had no idea that you do that. Like, like, well, now that I think about it, that's because I fucking only work green guys, really. If I worked veterans, I can't just call it out there. I'm not fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, Stone Cold would be working and he'd be like, hey, I'm deaf in my fucking right ear, bro. You're gonna have to let me call this one out there. It's like, you can hear just fucking fine out of your ear, Steve. It's so funny. But no, like, I gotta call it, man. It's the only way I have fun. And anybody who sits there and wants to talk shit and says that they can call it, you ain't never been where I've been. You ain't never been laying in the middle of the fucking ring and had them lit like I did as a babyface, bro. I did that shit for real. Fuck anybody who says I didn't. I was booked on every fucking show, and all I did was get my ass kicked. So that's the moral of the story. So, when we get in the ring, all the wrestling, all that bullshit don't matter if we don't put it over. I don't have to hit you with fucking 10 punches if I hit you with one and you go down. You fucking sell and you stay down, dog. My fucking hand hurts from doing that shit. This is like, how many of these can you take, dog? Because if this don't mean nothing and I can hit you, bang, now hit the ropes. What the fuck good is that? What good is that? You know? So I like to put everything over. I make everything mean something. I got a fucking mean baseball club. Are you ready for this, motherfucker? You know? Muscles Marinara Rivera. I got the sauce, dog. All I need is this fucking right hand. This mic hand. Fucking lightning. I gave him about that much space. Just fucking with you. I don't need you bumping right now. Talking about the business ain't necessarily doing it. You know, there's things we can do, things we can talk about. You know, I was showing him yesterday. None of this shit fucking really makes me much money, but it's important that you know how to do everything. You know? I know how to move somebody, and it's very important. Watch. I haven't moved my foot. It's like I'm playing basketball. I got to pivot. My feet haven't moved. And all he's got to do is sell. Sell around to these cameras. Look at these people. I haven't moved my foot. I put them where I want them. And we don't have to really talk about it because I can put them there. And if I want him to get up, all I got to do is talk to him. Sell up, brother. Watch. And if I want him back down, I can just put him where I want. You shouldn't have to talk about the little things like people call duck 2. Watch. Duck 2. Cross body. Bang. I just called it to him right there. Why can't I do it when I'm out there? Why do I have to talk about that part? And that's the part that bothers me the most. And that's why I don't have those conversations anymore. I can't imagine talking to somebody for a fucking half an hour about fucking wrestling match. What the fuck are we doing? So I'm blessed because I'm in a position where at fourth rope, I get respect. And that's very important. If I want to work for you, I want you to respect me, and those people respect me, and I respect them, and all the wrestlers respect me. It's been nothing but fucking love. I work with talent from TNA, and I work with talent from AEW. I work with talent from every promotion in the country right now. Fourth rope is the forbidden door. And I work as a producer, the only producer that we have. And it has been a blessing. So when you work with people that are so fucking talented, it's just the understanding now of stepping outside that spot of being a wrestler. I know my role at fourth rope. It depends on where I'm at in the match, and that's every single night, on every single show, on every single card I've ever been on. If there's 8 matches on a fucking card, and typically in the WWE you get 8 matches, right? On a big card that we would do live event shows with, and standard operation on a lot of indies. 8, 9 you're doing a little bit, 10, 11 you're doing the most. So it's like 8 matches, right? I got the WWE title, the women's title, the Intercontinental title, the women's Intercontinental title, the women's tag team titles, the men's tag team titles. Well, shit, bro. That's 6. That leaves probably a battle royal where we have a bunch of wrestlers all in it. In case somebody misses their travel, the main event didn't get here because his flight got canceled in Chicago. Okay, well, we can pluck him out of the battle royal and put him in that match. Or an 8-man tag or a schmoz tag. And then, what is that other spot? The other spot is the opener. And the opener a lot of times was the cruiserweight title. And it's funny how that works because I started off as an opener in a tag team spot with Big Cass. And we were a great opening act. And you have to know your role when you're out there. My role was to run my mouth. Know your role, know my role, run my mouth. This is it. Ding, ding, ding. I would say your SAWFT soft, ding, ding, ding. You would hit me from behind and we would be in the heat. And then I would tag in Cass and he would kill everybody and then he'd throw me on top of him and everybody understands our story. And we set the tone for the night. The good guys win, the bad guys lose. There is no kick-outs. Nobody kicked out 1, 2. Oh, we saved that. We build that in. Now, if I'm producing a card and I'm at 4th rope and we have a few titles, I always love when Smokey and Westside Gun, which they typically 9 times out of 10 do, they decide to put, the main event is always Zilla with the title. The title should always be the main event. That's what we fight for. That's what this business is built on. The championship makes you that guy, and that's it. That's the be-all, end-all story of this. If you don't want titles, shouldn't get into it. And I found that out after I won titles. Because it's probably just, self-awareness and probably not wanting to set myself expectations of disappointment. But when I was in WWE, I never won tag titles with Cass. And then I won a cruiserweight title. And I honestly didn't put it over in my brain. I didn't think anything of it. I won a second title. Didn't think anything of it really. I was caught up in those moments, yes. But before I won it, I wouldn't believe it until it happened. And I didn't want to probably, I'm just thinking about it now in retrospect, I would no-sell it and be like, oh, I don't care who has the title. I don't care who wins the title. I don't care if I win or lose a match. And I didn't. I took my ego completely out of pro wrestling because how could you survive? If you're constantly, no, I didn't care if you beat me up, bro. I'm not out here trying to look like a tough guy. I'm out here trying to entertain children. And there's so many people that love this shit that have disabilities, and we got to spoon feed certain audiences, and the crowd is eclectic. And I never had to curse on a microphone ever in my life, and I never fucking will. I don't need to, is what I said. I never will need to. Doesn't mean I won't. I've done it. But never in my WWE career. In the PG era, had to reinvent the wheel. Called you soft, didn't call you a bitch. So.
I know you mentioned the 4th rope though. We'll be there at the 21st at Philly, 2-300 Arena.
And we're going to do something that Paul Heyman's ass has never done. All right? You're on your vision quest right now. Well, I hope you lose some weight. All right?
Tickets are flying now.
You could call me a hater, but Paul, your belt size is the equator. Okay? How you doing, dog? What you gonna do about it? Ain't nobody that you got in the vision could ever touch me on a microphone. Nobody you've ever represented either. Anybody who's ever let Paul Heyman represent them has nothing in common with me. I do represent the common man though. My dad was a DJ. He had an Astro van, and we used to pack it with speakers, bro. And we packed that loud. We drove around with nothing but bass. And we would hustle in and out of Hell's Kitchen, literally 11th and 44th, bro. I mean, I'm in and out of Hell's Kitchen. One time, my dad wasn't with me, and I plugged in my microphone, and the whole fucking world heard me, right? You talk about New York City, the whole fucking world heard me. I know what it takes. It's a hustle. You can't teach that. Nobody taught me that. The Invisible Man didn't teach me hustle. You heard? The Invisible Man did not teach me hustle. I had a dad who was there, and I appreciate my dad, and I invite all you guys who have fathers and sons that came out together to watch pro wrestling. Maybe you were a dad that watched ECW, right? And you're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and you had birth to another Philadelphiaite, right? Another little kid with plaque in his mouth, just like all the wrestlers deserve plaques and not championships at ECW. You want a plaque, all you gotta do in the ECW arena is say, get the tables, and you'll see all the plaques you ever needed to see in your life, all right? They got, you know, tilapia-titted fucking diabetes, cankle locks coming if you fucking hop a guardrail to any one of these people. But you bring your children, and hopefully you didn't instill your bad habits on them out there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, what I like to call America's taint, the city between NYC and DC, where it all comes out, where it all goes down. Yeah, Philadelphia. We're gonna do something in Philadelphia that has never been done by Paul. Hey man, you're living dangerously. You should lay off the Ganesh, okay? Life's a bitch. You should learn how to treat it, bro. I know, we've all been through this before, all right? EC dub, EC dub, EC dub. This is sports entertainment that we're bringing to Philly. I'll be damned if I'm a producer at Fourth Rope and I see anybody pick up a fucking chair, grab a blade, and I'm too sharp for a fucking blade, Jarko. This ain't the fucking movies, this is pro wrestling. And all I need to sports entertain and get the people by the balls is a fucking microphone and a wrestling ring. And if you can't tell a story in there without those things, you're not nearly as good as I am at this shit. That's my promo for you to come to Fourth Row. I hope if you're from Philly, you realize this shit's a work. I do hate the fucking Eagles. Shout out to all my fans. And I appreciate all the love. Anybody who tapped in on live, tap in, like, subscribe, check out the YouTube. That's Real1 Brand on TikTok, Real1 Brand on YouTube, and Real1 on IG, Real1 on X, Liamo. Spell your shit. First of all, tell them how to pronounce your shit.
Yeah, it's Liamo, not Liamo or Liamu, whatever I've been called in this place, but it's Liamo on Instagram, and check me out. I'll be at Fourth Row.
How do you spell it though?
Liamoo. Check it out.
3 O's.
Three O's.
You should see him pop up. Is there a question that has been asked that I can answer? Because Lord knows, we're chilling.
We're running through.
I appreciate you guys. Anybody who tapped in, we're gonna keep doing this live thing, hopping in a ring, keeping it consistent, and more importantly, if you build it, they will come. This is a field of dreams, and if you're chasing your dreams as a pro wrestler, I hope you get something out of this bullshit.
Thank you.